How long will you keep waking up tired, scrolling aimlessly, rushing through your day without a plan, hoping that somehow life will organize itself? If you're honest, you know it hasn't worked. Not because you're lazy, but because your life lacks structure. And in a world full of noise, the man without a system drowns in chaos. This video is not a pep talk. It's a framework, a reset, a hard stop from the distractions, and a clear start toward purpose. Focus and productivity don't come from wishing. They're built from systems, discipline, and a life that respects clarity over clutter. We'll walk through 8 powerful shifts, from how you start your day, how you control your space, your time, and your energy, designed to help you turn chaos into structure and procrastination into momentum. If you're overwhelmed, distracted, or feel like you're just reacting all day long, this is your moment to reset. You'll learn how to build a morning routine, track meaningful habits, declutter your mind, and finally organize your life with purpose. This is for the man who's ready to lead himself. So if you're serious about lasting change, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs this message today. Because the truth is simple. When you build order, you reclaim freedom. And the most powerful life begins when you decide, enough is enough. Let's begin. 1. Start the day before the world wakes up. You can't control what the world throws at you by noon, but you can control how you meet the morning. That's where power starts. Not with motivation, not with a miracle, but with the discipline to stand up before the noise begins. Most men wake up reacting, scrolling through headlines, checking emails, and stepping into their day already behind. That's not a strategy, that's survival mode. And the longer you stay in it, the more your life becomes one long emergency. No space, no stillness, just fire after fire. But focus is not found in chaos. Focus is built before the world gets loud. It starts in silence, before the pressure, before the scroll, before the demands. Your first hour is either a launch pad or a trap. That hour decides if you're driving the day or being dragged by it. And here's the brutal truth. If you don't claim your morning, someone else will. Think about your morning like the first set in the gym. You don't walk in and max out cold. You warm up with intention. You prepare your mind. You set the tone. That's what the first 60 minutes of your day are. Mental weight training. You're stretching clarity, lifting purpose, and sweating out distraction. But too many men start sloppily. Wake up late, skip breakfast, check their phone before they even sit up. Already behind, already overwhelmed, already reactive. That's not life. It's autopilot. And autopilot never leads to discipline, never leads to freedom. The man who owns his morning owns his life. Because what you do in those first 60 minutes bleeds into everything else. How you make decisions, how you handle pressure, how you speak to your family, how you lead and work. A chaotic morning creates a scattered man, but a focused morning creates a centered man. Grounded, clear, calm. Not perfect, but present. And that presence is where momentum is born. So how do you take back your morning? You start small. You don't need 3 hours of journaling and cold plunges. You need 1 hour that belongs to you. No screens, no noise, just structure. Wake up at the same time every day. Move your body. Read 1 page. Write 1 thought. Sit in silence for 5 minutes. Repeat it tomorrow. Stack wins. Build rhythm. Build identity. When you do that, your life stops spinning and starts aligning. And here's what Stoicism gets right. It doesn't promise ease, it promises control. It doesn't care about hacks or motivation, it demands clarity, structure, and stillness. That's why the Stoic doesn't beg for a perfect morning. He builds it every day. Not for applause, not for likes, but because a man who rises early and moves with intention is already ahead of the world. So tomorrow, when the alarm rings, don't hit snooze on your life. Get up, step into the silence, own the hour. Because that's not just how focus begins, it's how freedom starts. 2. Declutter 1 space, declutter your mind. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking, Marcus Aurelius. The Stoics understood this long before the world was buried under emails, cluttered garages, and overloaded minds. They knew that internal peace begins with external order. Yet today, most men are drowning in their environments, surrounded by things they never use, notifications they never needed, and distractions they never chose. And they wonder why their focus slips, why they feel anxious, and why their thoughts are scattered like their desk. The truth is brutal. If your surroundings are chaotic, your thoughts won't be far behind. We live in a world that worships accumulation. More apps, more tabs, more stuff. But focus doesn't live in the crowded. It lives in clarity. And clarity begins at home, with your physical space. Look around right now. Your desk. Your kitchen counter. Your inbox. Every unwashed dish. Every unread email. Every pile of papers. Each one is a silent thief. They don't scream, but they drain. They whisper distraction. They steal energy. They cloud decisions. And the longer you tolerate a mess, the more your brain accepts chaos as the new normal. But there's a different way to live. You don't need to throw everything out. You don't need to become a monk. You just need to take back one space at a time. Focus thrives in environments that respect it. That's why when you declutter a drawer, you're not just cleaning, you're reclaiming control. You're sending a message. This is not a dumping ground. This is a command center. A place built for decisions, not delays. That's what your space should feel like. A place that sharpens your mind, not dulls it. Think of it like tuning a machine. A precision tool doesn't operate in filth. Neither does a sharp mind. You don't oil your focus with caffeine and hope. You calibrate it by removing what doesn't belong. That starts with your space. Because every time you walk into a clean room, your nervous system breathes, your thoughts settle, your choices become clearer. That's not just an organization, that's strategy. Too many men wait for motivation to get organized. That's backwards. You declutter to create clarity, and clarity creates momentum. So here's where to begin. Pick one space you see every morning. Your bathroom counter, your car, your desk. Set a 10-minute timer. Remove what you don't use. Wipe the surface. Put everything in its place. No excuses. Do it like a warrior setting up for battle. Deliberate, quick, efficient. Repeat that ritual daily. Make it part of your morning rhythm. Because order isn't a weekend project. It's a daily statement of who you are and what you stand for. The Stoic man doesn't need much, but what he does keep, he honors. That's your new rule. If it stays, it serves. If it clutters, it's gone. In a world that profits from your distraction, you must design your environment for deep focus. Because when your space is clean, your mind is clear, and a clear mind gets things done. 3. Turn your to-do list into a win list. How many times have you written a to-do list only to finish the day feeling more defeated than when you started? You cross off 2 things. Add 5 more. Glance at it mid-afternoon and think, what's the point? That's not focus, it's frustration disguised as productivity. The modern man thinks he's productive because his list is long. But a long list means nothing if it lacks precision. The truth? A scattered list leads to scattered action. And when your action is scattered, your life becomes noise. You don't need more goals, you need clearer ones. Sharper, measurable, finishable. Most men are drowning in tasks that aren't even theirs, stuff they said yes to out of guilt, out of habit, out of fear. The Stoic doesn't live like that. He understands that every decision has weight, and every action is a reflection of inner order. If your to-do list looks like a fire drill, it's not a plan. It's chaos in ink. So shift the frame. Stop writing to-dos, start writing wins. A win list isn't about what you could do. It's about what must be done to move your life forward. Today, no more wishful thinking, no more mental clutter. You wake up, write 3 high-impact actions. Just 3, not 30. Not vague noise. 3 specific targets tied to real outcomes. Your body, your work, your mind. Actionable, trackable, done by sundown. Think of it like combat. You don't go into a mission with a backpack full of random tools. You bring what you need. You move with clarity. You strike with precision. That's how a man builds momentum. By stacking wins, not intentions. A win is an action that makes tomorrow easier. Lifting for 20 minutes, emailing one client, fixing that overdue bill. Small things that shift big gears when done with full attention. The reason so many men are exhausted isn't that they're lazy, it's because they're busy doing things that don't count. Chasing completion instead of purpose. Filling calendars with movement instead of meaning. The Stoic knows better. He acts only on what's essential. He guards his time like a vault. He doesn't overcommit to feel useful. He commits with precision because he knows energy is currency and wasting it is poverty of mind. So from now on, you write a win list each morning. 3 items, no fluff, no extras. When it's done, the day is complete. Everything else is noise. You don't need dopamine hits from checking boxes. You need real forward motion. You want to feel momentum? Track wins, not tasks. You want to feel powerful? Finish what matters, not what's easy. And at night, when you close your eyes, let it be after knowing that today you didn't just survive, you moved forward. That's how you build discipline. That's how you organize chaos. One win at a time, every day. No excuses, no noise, just action. 4. Scheduled peace, not just tasks. When was the last time you blocked time on your calendar just to breathe? Not for a meeting, not for a task, not even for a workout. Just time to think, reset, breathe, and be still. Most men don't. They treat stillness like a luxury, something they'll get to when the fires are out. But the fires never end. There's always one more email, one more errand, one more thing that demands attention. And slowly, without even noticing, you become a machine, functioning, efficient, always busy, but never present. Busyness is the new drug, and like all addictions, it numbs the truth. You're not focused, you're scattered. Because in a life without stillness, focus doesn't survive, it suffocates. Productivity without pause turns into burnout. Movement without meaning turns into noise. What looks like momentum is just motion sickness. But here's the shift: peace is not something you stumble into. It's something you schedule. You put it on your calendar like a board meeting, and you protect it with the same urgency. Real focus is built in the gaps, in the pauses between doing, in the quiet space where your mind recalibrates and your body catches up. That's why intentional rest is not weakness. It's a strategy. It's how warriors reset between battles. You can't stay sharp if you never sheath the sword. You can't lead well if you never rest well. And yet most men ignore this. They grind, push, stretch, and break. They don't crash because they're weak. They crash because they never recover. The Stoics called this euthymia, a state of inner calm and purpose. It wasn't passive. It wasn't laziness. It was clarity without chaos, confidence without ego, action without hurry. They didn't wait for peace. They practiced it, just like they practiced discipline, temperance, and courage. Because they knew, if your mind is always racing, your choices will always be reactive. And a reactive life is a fragile life, easy to provoke, easy to distract, easy to derail. So what does it look like in practice? It looks like this. Every day you schedule one block of sacred time. No screens, no talking, no multitasking, just quiet. Even 15 minutes. You step outside, you take a walk, you sit with your thoughts, not to solve but to settle. That stillness, it's not the absence of action, it's the foundation of it. And in that space, you reclaim yourself. You exit the demands of the world and enter the clarity of your own mind. You don't need 3 hours of meditation, you need 15 minutes of ownership. A small window where the day doesn't own you, you own the day. And when you return, you're different. You speak more slowly, decide sharper, lead stronger. Because the man who guards his peace multiplies his power. In the age of distraction, stillness is rebellion. And the disciplined man knows the most productive minute of the day is the one where you stop and reset. 5. Control your inputs or be controlled. Every man lives with a silent war between what enters his mind and what stays there. Most just never notice it. Your thoughts aren't just yours. They're shaped by what you feed them. Your mind is not a sealed vault, it's a gate. And every scroll, every click, every headline, every notification, it's knocking on that gate, asking to get in. If you don't control the input controls you. Distraction isn't an accident, it's engineered. Your phone is built to hijack attention. Your feed is built to be addictive. Every headline is tuned for outrage, and every platform rewards impulsivity. And if you consume like everyone else, you'll think like everyone else. Anxious, reactive, scattered. That's why so many men wake up drained. Not from action, but from exposure. Their clarity is gone by breakfast. Their focus dies before noon. The Stoics warned about this long before social media ever existed. Guard your mind. Be vigilant with what enters your soul. They understood that inner peace is built by choice, not chance. If you want to focus, you have to fight for it. And that fight begins by watching your inputs like a hawk. Because everything you consume, you eventually become. Chaos isn't just in the world, it's in your feed, in your inbox, on your screen. Think of your mind like a high-performance engine. You wouldn't pour garbage into it and expect it to run clean. Yet most men do that with their brains. Constant negativity, false urgency, endless comparison. Then they wonder why they feel numb, behind, never enough. That's not a mindset problem, that's a consumption problem. Garbage in, confusion out, focus in, clarity out. So what does this look like in real life? It looks like boundaries. Hard ones. Time blocks without screens, no phone in the bedroom, no news before noon, no endless scrolling during dead time. It looks like choosing what you read, who you listen to, and what voices shape your day. Not just unplugging, but replacing. Replacing chaos with intention. Filling your space with wisdom, not noise. Truth, not trends. It's not about perfection, it's about direction. Because the man who curates his inputs controls his attention. And the man who controls his attention controls his future. In a world designed to fragment you, discipline is found in selective exposure. This isn't about isolation. It's about filtration. Choose books that challenge you, not headlines that trigger you. Choose silence over shallow noise. Choose depth over dopamine. Because if you don't choose your focus, someone else already has. And their plan has nothing to do with your peace. You don't need to delete everything. But you do need to decide. Every input has a cost. Every piece of content has a consequence. The more aware you are, the more powerful you become. Focus isn't just about what you do. It's about what you no longer allow in. That's the gate you must guard. Not once, but every day. Because in that gatekeeping lies the future of your mind. And in your mind lies the blueprint of your entire life. 6. Build a system, not just willpower. When you build a system, you stop depending on willpower, and that's a massive advantage. Willpower is inconsistent. It fades under stress, it disappears when you're tired, and it often vanishes when you need it most. But a system is solid. It's a routine that works even when your motivation doesn't show up. That's the difference between the man who acts once and the man who grows consistently. Systems don't rely on feelings. They rely on structure. And structure breeds momentum. A lot of men say they lack discipline. That's not true. What they really lack is a framework. They try to remember everything, try to juggle a dozen goals, try to muscle through chaos. But that's like trying to build a house with no blueprint. The result? Frustration, fatigue, failure. Stoic philosophy never romanticized chaos. It built strength through order, inner and outer. Epictetus taught that discipline is a matter of training, not a one-time effort. Daily effort repeated under control. And that's where systems come in. Imagine your day like a factory. If the machinery runs well, the output is strong. But if you walk in every morning with no schedule, no flow, no method, you'll burn out your energy fixing problems that should never have been created. That's what most lives look like, a daily scramble of unplanned reaction. And the result? No focus, no rhythm, just noise. A man without a system is a man who forgets what he said mattered. But when you install structure into your life, you start to build internal certainty. You no longer ask, what should I do next? You already know. You've built your actions into the day. 7 a.m. workout, 10 a.m. deep work, 1 p.m. walk, 9 p.m. shut down. It's not about perfection, it's about automation. You free your brain from endless decisions and save your energy for what actually moves the needle. This isn't rigidity, it's leverage. Structure doesn't trap you, it liberates you. Because now you're not reacting, you're running your day. You don't hope to be productive, you're structured to be. And when the system is in place, all you need to do is show up and execute. That's power. Quiet, consistent, repeatable power. And that's what makes men dangerous in the best way. You want to turn chaos into success? Build systems, small, repeatable ones. The Stoics didn't rely on hype. They lived by ritual. They didn't aim for motivation. They trained for consistency. And so should you. Start simple. Anchor your wake-up time. Set a fixed block for focused work. Protect your night routine. Don't wait to feel like it. Let the system carry you. Because when the structure is right, you don't need to force discipline. It shows up naturally. And with that, your life stops being a fire to put out and becomes a mission you run with precision. That's not just how success happens, it's how success lasts. 7. Say no as a form of self-respect. Every man who's lost control of his life started by saying yes to too much. Yes to more meetings, yes to distractions, yes to people who drained him. And every time he said yes when he should have said no, a piece of his focus eroded. One sure, I can do that at a time, his day stopped being his. That's how chaos begins. Not in one big collapse, but in small acts of self-betrayal. Boundaries aren't about being rigid. They're about being responsible. Because when you lack boundaries, you bleed energy. And where your energy goes, your attention follows. So if your life feels cluttered, distracted, or hijacked by other people's agendas, it's not an accident. It's a lack of self-respect in disguise. The man who respects his time, his peace, and his priorities isn't afraid to say no. Not because he's arrogant, but because he's focused. He's not trying to please the world, he's trying to build a life that matters. Think of your focus like water. If you pour it into every crack, it vanishes. But if you channel it, it gains pressure, it becomes a force. And that force moves mountains. That's the difference between being busy and being powerful. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you seek tranquility, do less." Or more accurately, do what's essential. That's not minimalism for aesthetics. It's discipline in action. You cut the unnecessary so the necessary can breathe. But most men have been taught to avoid conflict, not to rock the boat, to be agreeable. And so they compromise by default. They sacrifice their focus for politeness. Their purpose is for popularity. But here's the truth. A man with no boundaries isn't kind. He's confused. Because kindness without clarity becomes chaos. If you can't say no to what doesn't align with your mission won't survive. So what does this look like in real time? It looks like pausing before you commit. It looks like thinking before reacting. When someone asks for your time, your answer isn't automatic. You check it against your goals. You ask, does this move me forward? If the answer is no, then so is yours. Not cruel, just clear. And if they don't understand, that's fine. Because your life isn't up for negotiation. You don't owe everyone access. You don't have to explain every decision. The Stoic man guards his path, not from fear, but from wisdom. Because he knows the most expensive thing he owns isn't his car or his watch, it's his focus. And every time he protects it, he builds something stronger than success, inner order. So write down 5 things you'll say no to this week. It could be toxic people, mindless meetings, or pointless tasks. Whatever doesn't serve the structure you're building, it goes. That's not selfish, that's strategic. You don't protect your boundaries because you're fragile. You protect them because your mission is too important to be diluted. And if you want your life to rise, you have to start subtracting the weight pulling it down. Say no. Say it early. Say it often. And then move forward. Lighter, sharper, stronger. 8. Visualize the order you want to live in. Visualization is not about fantasy. It's about direction. It's a tool of mental clarity, not wishful dreaming. Every focused life begins with a focused mind. And a focused mind sees where it's going before the feet ever move. That's the power of vision. Not to impress, but to align. Because you can't organize your life around a blurry goal. You can't create structure in your day if your future is vague. Chaos doesn't always look like noise. Sometimes it looks like not knowing what you want. When your vision is clear, your decisions get sharper. You say no faster, you waste less time. You stop chasing things that don't match the man you're building. But without vision, you drift. You fill time instead of filling a purpose. You start reacting instead of leading. The Stoics weren't dreamers in the soft sense. They visualized adversity so they could meet it without panic. They rehearsed hardship in their minds so reality would never catch them off guard. That's discipline. That's preparation. And you can use the same mental clarity, not to brace for pain, but to organize your life with precision. Think of your mind like a GPS. If you enter a destination, it maps the fastest way forward. If you don't, you just spin in circles. That's what most men are doing. Running hard, but going nowhere. Productive, but unfocused. Busy, but unaligned. They don't lack effort, they lack a visual compass. You want focus? Start visualizing. Not in broad strokes, but with ruthless detail. Don't just say, I want peace. Describe it. What does your morning look like? What do you see on your desk? How do you speak to your kids? What do you feel when walking into your workspace? That's not fluff. That's the blueprint. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between vivid imagination and real experience. That's why elite athletes rehearse every move in their minds before game day. Because mental reps matter. You can instill order into your thoughts before your habits ever catch up. And the more you see it, the more familiar it feels. And what feels familiar becomes achievable. That's how you take the chaos in your mind and turn it into a real-world structure. Quiet clarity, one image at a time. So make this part of your morning rhythm. Before the world grabs you, pause. Close your eyes. Visualize a day led by structure, not stress. One where you rise without rushing, work without distraction, return home with a present. Don't rush it, just replay it, see it, and then step into it, one action at a time. Because the mind that rehearses order builds the habit to match it. Focus doesn't just live in routines, it starts with vision. Show your mind the life you want, so the man you are can begin building it. Not someday, now. One clear picture at a time. Order is not just about cleaning your room or color-coding your calendar. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about standing in a world full of noise and saying, I choose clarity. Every moment you organize with intention, you build a life that doesn't just function, it thrives. What we walk through today isn't theory. It's practice. It's an action. It's discipline forged by repetition. From owning your morning, to building systems, to saying no with conviction, and visualizing with precision. Each step is a brick. And those bricks form the foundation of a focused, purposeful life. One you can trust, one that moves forward, one that earns respect from the inside out. Remember, success doesn't come from chaos. It comes from structure. And structure is not built by accident. It's built daily through simple routines, small boundaries, and focused decisions. You don't need to change everything overnight, but you do need to change something today. Because every small win adds weight to your identity as a man who leads himself first. So start with what you control: your input, your space, your habits, your time. Protect your focus like your future depends on it, because it does. Practice your systems, refine your morning, cut the noise, choose a discipline. Not because it's easy, but because it's how freedom is built. And now I invite you, share your journey in the comments below. What habit are you committing to? What chaos are you turning into structure? Let's build this path together. Brick by brick, man to man. Because when you organize your life with purpose, you don't just get more done, you become someone worth following every single day.